2024 is the second highest year ever for billion-dollar disasters in our country. This is part of a growing trend affecting families who are experiencing more frequent and intense disasters every year. In fact, NOAA's latest data has tallied 24 such disasters so far this year, including recent hurricanes Helene and Milton, wildfires out west, severe storms across the country, and let's not forget New Jersey area. Here now to talk about these increasing needs and how we can help is the Vice President of American Red Cross Disaster Programs, Jennifer Pippa. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for having me this morning.
So this year is the second highest year for billion-dollar disasters ever in our country. How has the American Red Cross responded?
2024 has been an extremely challenging year for us, and we've seen tens of thousands of individuals present to us looking to the Red Cross for hope, for compassion, and for care. And we're seeing these families present in record numbers. And we're seeing them ask for things like emergency lodging or food or replacing lost medication. So we're seeing a higher demand signal because we're seeing more disasters happen more frequently, sometimes in areas that have been hit multiple times in successive years. And so while we have volunteers responding to, say, the response in Hurricane Helene and Milton in the southeast, we have volunteers on the West Coast responding to wildfires, and we have volunteers in the middle of the U.S. responding to floods and other disasters. So it's been an incredibly busy year, and we're not finished yet.
No, we're not. What are the impacts that you're seeing on families?
So we're seeing families really struggle to recover from these. And a lot of times what we're seeing, unfortunately, is families who've been impacted multiple times. I met with a family from Hurricane Helene and Milton. Their home had originally been hit by surge. They'd gone in and started to do the repair work right away, ripping out drywall, starting their long journey to recovery, only to have to come back to a Red Cross shelter because Hurricane Milton was making landfall, and seeing that even the small amount of work that they were able to do in that narrow window between the two disasters was absolutely, totally taken away. And these families are now starting over again. And so we're seeing these kind of repetitive impacts in communities that have not been hit once, but sometimes twice in the same year. And that really, really puts an incredible burden on the families and communities that are being impacted.
Jennifer, with more people dealing with extreme disasters, how is the emergency response community coping with this challenge?
So we've learned emergency response is a team sport. It takes everybody. It takes all of your nonprofits showing up. If you had asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be talking to you about seasons: hurricane season, wildfire season, flood season, tornado season. Those seasons don't exist anymore in emergency management. We are in a near continuous state of response. The Red Cross is launching disaster relief operations almost every single day of the year across the U.S. And so we're seeing a much higher demand signal. We know with the climate crisis, this is causing more disasters, and it's causing disasters in places we don't historically see. Wildfires in New Jersey, outside of New York City, right? Wildfires in New Mexico, and flooding that happens right thereafter. So not only are we being challenged with what we would consider typical disasters that you see on the East and West Coast, but now we're seeing a wide variety of other disasters that are impacting communities all across the U.S.
Not just the US, I was thinking globally, Spain that just got hit real bad. So, how can people help those in need this holiday season?
There's a couple of different ways. First of all, for people who have supported us all year, let me start with just a thank you. We are incredibly thankful for the support that the American population provides to our organization, and we simply couldn't do it without them. But as Giving Tuesday comes up on December 3rd, now's an opportunity for you to consider supporting our organization again. And you can go to redcross.org and make a financial contribution. No gift is too small for a family who's lost everything. You could roll up your sleeve and donate a pint of blood and possibly save a stranger's life. Or you can raise a hand, become a Red Cross volunteer, and be ready to help your neighbor or your community when it becomes impacted by a disaster.
Speaking of impacts, how much of an impact did Hurricanes Helene and Milton have on us?
It is significant. There are absolutely devastating consequences for those two storms. And you're talking about five separate states that had really significant impacts. And while most of the initial response is done now, what I want folks to know is that the Red Cross is there long after the response phase of a disaster relief operation is over. We will be there in these communities for the next couple of years, helping them navigate that long and arduous recovery journey that each one of them is now faced with.
I've been speaking with Jennifer Pippa. She's Vice President of American Red Cross Disaster Programs. Do you get any sleep?
I've learned to operate on a lot less sleep now, sir, than I did, say, 5 years ago. That is for sure.
I can imagine. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend.
Thank you.